Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to chapter 17, Imprisonment versus Freedom. And this whole chapter it's a lot of healing, a lot of facing the guilt in the mind of that comes up and then is projected onto the fear of making a wrong decision. But really this whole chapter is about facing the fear of love. And fear of love is a fear of just fully going in the direction of God, fully going in the direction that is given. So, like the ego or the mind believes that there's options or choices. And then when trying to follow those or play out different options or choices, that's where it's coming from a sense of being separate from the one plan, from God. So this whole chapter is just facing, walking through it, and then just being supported by the Spirit all the way through this journey of healing, facing it, walking through it, healing it. Okay, so we start off with, again, there are 3 quotes from the Course at the beginning of the chapter that just really line it up beautifully. Okay. Imprisonment versus Freedom, Fall 2005. The Holy Spirit teaches you the difference between pain and joy. That is the same as saying He teaches you the difference between imprisonment and freedom. You cannot make this distinction without Him, because you have taught yourself that imprisonment is freedom. And the second quote, you still have too much faith in the body as a source of strength. What plans do you make that do not involve its comfort or protection or enjoyment in some way? And the third quote, a holy relationship is a means of saving time. One instant spent together with your brother restores the universe to both of you. You are prepared. Now you need but to remember you need do nothing. It would be far more profitable now merely to concentrate on this than to consider what you should do. Keep your hand in mine. David and I were preparing to leave Venezuela and go to Florida for a rest period before flying to New Zealand. I had contacted friends in the North Island who were happy to arrange gatherings with us. Part of our mission in New Zealand was to fly to Wanaka in the South Island to collect my car and the rest of my belongings. Journaling, Kirsten. Good morning, Holy Spirit. I booked the tickets for us to fly down to the South Island. Immediately after sending a suggested itinerary to the organisers, I had doubts about everything. I had a strong impulse to cancel this trip and our gatherings. Help. Holy Spirit. When your motivation involves covering costs, such as plane tickets, you put yourself under pressure to perform. The spiritual journey is about healing your own mind, nothing else. Remember your one goal. Give your fears and doubts to me. Trust that the plans will be given you as they were this morning. Remember that your only responsibility is to accept the healing for yourself. David is joined with you, loving you, supporting you, holding your hand whenever you need help. It is you who withdraws your hand and then feels alone. Keep your hand in David's, as his is in mine. Remember your promise to do God's will, not your own. Trust that you will receive each perfect step in your awakening plan, one moment at a time. Let the fears and doubts come up for release, and remember, it is my hand you are holding. Kirsten, I don't want to do gatherings right now. Why did I set them up in New Zealand? Am I setting myself up to fail? I feel mixed up. Holy Spirit, you don't have to do any gatherings right now. I set up the gatherings in New Zealand. They are part of the plan. Those who want healing will step up, and the gatherings will unfold perfectly. You are not responsible. It is only the ego's judgment that makes things seem difficult. Return to peace now. All is perfect. You are loved. What do I really want? Journaling, Kirsten. Good morning, Holy Spirit. Can you talk to me about the best use of time, living a devotional life, and purpose? I also have questions about following my heart and feeling free. I judge myself when I'm not focused. I want to relax and enjoy life without guilt. Holy Spirit, yes. It is important to be clear about the best use of time. There is no difference between these three phases: best use of time, devotional life, and purpose. They all mean the same thing. They're helpful phrases for mind watching and keeping your mind in alignment with mine. Devoting your life to the highest purpose there is, healing your mind, and waking up to the remembrance of God is a decision that you make and apply your mind to in every moment. Your actions are the demonstration of your decision. It is never the other way around. This is why I've told you many times that the course is highly individualized. It does not have to look a certain way. I will always direct your use of time in a way that joins you with your brothers and with God. This takes many forms, including meditation, prayer, and communication. The ego's use of time involves avoidance, immediate gratification, and reinforcing separation through doing it my way. You are wise to these tricks and are devoted to not acting when you are in doubt as to which voice you are hearing. Feeling free and following your heart are both states of mind and are identical in their expression. Following your heart is following my guidance. I am your heart, in the sense that your deepest desire is to remember God. And I am your communication with God. I am your guide to love. The ego's idea of freedom is to have many choices, and its version of follow your heart is to try to choose the best illusion out of the many. You know by the way that you feel when you're choosing amongst images. There's a feeling of, I hope I choose the right one. I hope I don't make a mistake. When listening to the ego, following your heart is likely to involve going off alone. Separation is always a factor in the ego's plan. Kirsten, this is so helpful. Right now, the ego keeps coming in with so many options for the future. Immediately, I sense the choose your favorite image game, which I cannot play. I know it's a game. I've done the manifesting thing. I created my life the way I wanted it to be many times. And now I want only to listen to you. But part of my mind still wants to experience things in this lifetime. This feels confusing because these things are future-oriented. Can I still move in a direction I feel would be a beautiful experience? Is this still trying to manipulate the script? Holy Spirit, the script is written. At certain times in your life, you believed you were in control and directing the play. This was a state of mind. You can feel this way now if you choose to. You have control over your state of mind, how you perceive the world, and whether to listen to and follow my guidance or not. As you continue to trust, to open up and relax, to sink into your mind and be the observer, you will watch the same script play out from a place of peace. Rather than feeling that you are directing the play and are therefore responsible for how it plays out, you can enjoy watching from a place of safety, trusting that all things work together for good and letting all things be exactly as they are. Trust The plans will be given you. You will be told what to do, where to go, whom to speak to, which tickets to purchase, which plans to change. All things work together for good. There are no exceptions. I am with you. Trust. Kirsten, I sometimes ask myself whether I'm following my heart. When David asks me, "What do you want?" I can't reply with anything in form. I can't reply with a place or an image. I have intuitive feelings about possibilities for the future, but they are not here right now except in my mind as ideas. Is there any difference between ideas in my mind and what seems to happen in form? Are they all equally unreal? Holy Spirit, yes, all are images, all are possibilities. However, they can be helpful stepping stones for guiding you home. The love of God can shine through all of them. Intuitive feelings of peace, love, and happiness come from me. Relax. When the time comes for the next step in your plan, it will be given you. There is no need for effort on your part. There is no need to try to work out the script, to plan for the future, to worry about anything at all. Trust in me. Turning right side up. David and I had round-trip tickets to New Zealand, but I began to consider not returning to the US with him in March. The past months had been intense, and the idea of being based at A Course in Miracles Healing Centre with Jackie in New Zealand felt like a slower-paced option. I discovered that I could refund part of my airfare if I chose to stay in New Zealand, and I began to seriously contemplate this as a possibility. However, rather than ease my mind, the fact that I could change my ticket tormented me. I felt pressured about needing to know the future so that I wouldn't waste money. We had a 10-day rest period planned at our dear friend Franny's house in Florida before taking the long journey to New Zealand. I was experiencing a lot of doubt and confusion about my direction and my purpose. And right at that time, David received an invitation to visit with friends in Europe. He kindly invited me to go with him, but I wasn't in any state to go on another big trip. I looked forward to having my own room in a quiet house in a quiet neighborhood. Franny was retired and was delighted to have me stay and rest. She deeply appreciated the course and the work we were doing, and she loved having the opportunity to provide a peaceful haven for David and I in the midst of our travels. She was an angel, no doubt about it. Journaling. Kirsten. Good morning, Holy Spirit. Talk to me about the last 2 sentences of Workbook Lesson 20. I am determined to see. What you desire, you will see. Such is the real law of cause and effect as it operates in the world. Holy Spirit, what you desire, you will see. This is the reversal of the thinking of the world. What you see actually comes from what you think. What you think comes from your desire. Desire God, peace, and miracles. And your vision is in alignment with my vision. This lesson is a step in helping you realize that you do not see with the vision of Christ and you want to see differently. It allows your mind to be turned right side up. Kirsten, is it really true that I see what I desire? That everything I see comes from my thoughts? I experience this often, but not always. It seems like the screen of the world is there. I choose to see it and to write my interpretation on it. Like going to a new city, Merida in Venezuela, for example, and seeing the mountains and the surroundings. I believe they were all there before I arrived. Holy Spirit, every moment is new when your focus is in the present moment. As I've explained before, Jesus heard and saw differences, but he put them all in the same category, false. The sleeping mind projects thoughts as images onto the screen and forgets immediately that it has done so in order to then experience the effects of the projection as real. When you believe yourself to be a body or a figure on the screen, it seems real. All of the myriad of concepts seem real. Memories of past experiences seem real. Interpretations based on past experiences seem real. From this removed state of thinking, the mind believes itself to be in the world and separate from God. Kirsten, it's so clear. What else can I do to keep remembering the truth? When we use the word screen, I think of a 2-dimensional screen like a television. But looking up and seeing a ceiling, for example, makes all of this seem so real. It's hard to imagine it being a screen. Holy Spirit, there's no need to try to figure out illusions. You cannot solve an impossible situation, especially while you still believe in it. Continue to ask me for guidance and continue to follow my guidance, including about how to use and apply the course every day. Fear of loss. I felt fear arising, so I went to talk to David about how I felt. Now that he was going to Europe without me, I was afraid I was making decisions that would result in separation. The fear felt deep. Although I'd had many thoughts about wanting to escape to the past, to go back to New Zealand, I had not acted on them. I had always turned my attention towards forgiveness. But as soon as I initiated the idea of not returning to the US with David in March, he was invited to travel to Europe without me. David told me that sin is the belief that you've done something wrong, and guilt is the emotion that arises from sin. All fear is fear of punishment. The thought, "it's not my fault," is a defense against the feared punishment. He said there are only two emotions, love and fear, and that all emotions that are not loving are derivatives of fear. They seem different, but they really aren't. David walked out of the room, leaving me feeling scattered, my mind in turmoil. I meditated for a while, focusing on letting it all go and trying to remember that I didn't need anything from anyone. The source of my worry was a sense of need. I tried to remind myself that I had everything I needed right now. When David came back into the room, I shared the insight that my fear was coming from a belief in lack. He said, "Whatever you perceive as lacking from a situation is what you have failed to give." Somehow this helped me to reverse the direction of my thinking, and peace returned at last. My lesson for the day just happened to be Workbook Lesson 21. I am determined to see things differently. Very helpful. Personal goals are ego goals. Journaling. Kirsten, good morning, Holy Spirit. I've been reading Workbook Lesson 25. I do not know what anything is for. I feel I know the difference between ego or personal goals and your goals. Your goals involve joining and healing the mind. They are communications of love and blessing. I can feel the understanding of real purpose each time I apply the lesson to things, thoughts, and situations. For example, I do not know what this laptop is for. Holy Spirit, wonderful. Kirsten, this lesson feels like a good reminder to look at the purpose I give to my actions. Holy Spirit, the statement, "I do not know what anything is for," will hold you in a state of humility. Humility is a state in which you are open to receive. The I know mind is the height of ego arrogance. My role is to guide you home to the remembrance of God, which is a process of releasing the world from what you made it for. To hold on to beliefs of knowledge of any kind about this world is to hold on to a lie. The world is false. Real knowledge has nothing whatsoever to do with this world. It is beyond this world. Kirsten, so what does it mean when I say I know the difference between ego purpose and your purpose? Holy Spirit, this is discernment. You are using the word know as a verb, as a helpful step in the direction of knowledge. You could also say, I can tell the difference between ego purpose and holy purpose. With regard to the mind, you are unlearning. You are training your mind to release ego beliefs. This process does not involve acquiring knowledge. When I use the term knowledge, I'm referring to experience in the truest sense of the word. God can be but known. God cannot be learned. The path to God is one of forgiveness, of humility, of accepting the truth about yourself with a capital S. It is a surrender, a yielding. The kingdom of heaven is within. Making decisions without guilt. I asked the Spirit for explicit guidance as to whether I should stay in New Zealand after March or return to the US with David. The following day, Franny invited me to go with her to a psychic. As soon as we met, the psychic offered me a reading. She told me very clearly that I had projects to get on with in New Zealand, and that David and I would have more than one base. She felt that I would be based in New Zealand for the following year, and David would continue to accept invitations to travel. She told me that David and I were soulmates and best friends, and that we shared a strong purpose. I took my meeting with her as a confirmation that I was to stay in New Zealand instead of returning to the US with David. Initially, the decision came with a sense of peace, but before long, fears and doubts came up. Journaling. Kirsten. Good morning, Holy Spirit. I felt a huge sense of relief after the reading with the psychic yesterday, but now I feel like I made a wrong decision. Why do I feel so anxious and personally responsible? Holy Spirit. Guilt. Guilt is in the mind. and you are projecting guilt out onto the screen and then making decisions to avoid it. Hence the confusion. Kirsten, yes. Then I fear having made a wrong decision based on trying to avoid making a wrong decision. And then I want to reverse it. This is insanity. It's all because I want to avoid guilt. Is there something I should do? Immediately, the I need do nothing section from the Course came to mind, and I relaxed. And this is the quote from that section. A holy relationship is a means of saving time. One instant spent together with your brother restores the universe to both of you. You are prepared. Now you need but to remember you need do nothing. It would be far more profitable now merely to concentrate on this than to consider what you should do. Why do my decisions always feel so big, like I'm changing the course of my destiny? Holy Spirit, decisions feel big when they involve the intense emotions of separation, guilt, and fear. The first seeming decision made alone was a trial separation from God. Any decision that reflects this idea, no matter how subtle, reminds the ego of what it thinks it has done. It then wants to avoid the feeling. You asked, should I do something? Yes. Give your fears, your doubts, and your thoughts involving guilt to me. Listen to my guidance and trust that all things work together for good. The ego wants to act, to change things on the screen. But when the cause of the problem is guilt, how can tinkering around with form solve it? The problem is at the level of mind. Release the guilt, and you will find there is no problem to solve. I cry with gratitude and relief. I go through all of the thoughts in my mind, releasing them to the Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit, what do you want? Kirsten, a place like the house where I was staying in New Zealand, with a supportive community, a home base with plenty of space to meditate, have course meetings, do inner dance, watch movies, and have gatherings. I want to be in constant communication with you. Holy Spirit, I am always with you. Kirsten, sometimes I can't hear you. Holy Spirit, do you hear my voice now? Kirsten, yes. Is there something specific that I can read if I find myself in that state of confusion again? Holy Spirit, and there's a quote from the Course. I who am host to God am worthy of him. He who established his dwelling place in me created it as he would have it be. It is not needful that I make it ready for him, but only that I do not interfere with his plan to restore to me my own awareness of my readiness, which is eternal. I need add nothing to his plan, but to receive it, I must be willing not to substitute my own in place of it. The justice of heaven. When David returned from Europe, I picked him up at the Miami airport. We stopped on the way back to Franny's house to talk about everything that had been unfolding for me. I shared all of my thoughts and feelings about New Zealand, as well as what the psychic had told me. We had a deep discussion about how anxiety and doubt come from vacillating on the commitment to purpose, and I became willing once more to let go of all my ideas about the future. I wanted only to be guided by the Spirit. When David woke up the following morning, he told me he'd had an epiphany about New Zealand, and that my staying on was part of the Spirit's plan. It was a clear sign to me that nothing had gone wrong. I felt so happy. Journaling. Kirsten. Good morning, Holy Spirit. I feel wonderful. After talking it all through with David, I know that everything is going according to plan. David will return to the US in March, and I will stay in New Zealand. He may come back the following summer. Either way, we won't be apart for too long. There is no separation. We are joined in purpose. I cry tears of relief and gratitude. I'm so relieved. I love David so much, and I don't ever want to separate from him. Do you have anything to tell me about this? Holy Spirit, trust saw you through. You shared all of your thoughts and feelings with the willingness to listen and follow whatever the plan may be in form. And with this willingness comes heaven. All that your Father wants for you is your happiness. I cry more tears of relief, gratitude, and happiness. Sweet child, do not doubt your Father's love. Of course you will be given your heart's desire. But when you do not know your heart's desire, how can it be given you? Would you recognize your highest good when a veil of fear cloaks your awareness of it? Do not be afraid to express your heart's desire, even if it is spoken of in terms of form. This is but a symbol of your desire to live a life of love and happiness, extending your Father's love to your brothers. Your inspiration will inspire others. Your passion will ignite passion in others. Shine your light, my child, and let it be seen by all. You have a beautiful gift to share. Do not be afraid to hold it up and offer it to all who would join with you. I was guided to read The Justice of Heaven and laughed out loud at how perfect this section was in regards to my experience of the past 24 hours. In it, Jesus says, "What can it be but arrogance to think your little errors cannot be undone by heaven's justice?" Thank you. Thank you for joining, everyone.